Jake Morrison felt cold metal against his back as his eyes opened. The ceiling above him glowed with a soft blue light that hurt to look at. He tried to sit up, but his muscles felt weak, like he had been sleeping for days. Everything around him looked strange and wrong. The walls were not made of normal metal. They looked alive, with lines that pulsed like veins under pale skin. Jake could hear a low humming sound coming from everywhere at once. The air smelled sweet and thick. Nothing like the recycled air on his ship. His ship. Jake remembered now. He had been captain of the exploration vessel Aurora. They were studying the moons around Jupiter when something went wrong. There had been bright lights and his instruments had gone crazy. Then everything went black. "Where am I?" Jake said out loud. His voice sounded rough and dry. Something moved in the shadows near the wall. Jake turned his head and saw a creature walking toward him. It looked like a giant insect standing on two legs. Its body was covered in hard plates that shined green and black. 4 arms moved at its sides, and its head had large round eyes that reflected the blue light. Jake tried to scramble backward, but his body would not obey him. The creature made clicking sounds that somehow Jake could understand as words. "Do not fear, human Jake Morrison. You are safe. I am Zixtal of the Science Cast. We have been waiting for you to wake up." Waiting? How long was I out? Jake asked. His heart was beating fast, but the creature had not tried to hurt him. "By your Earth time measurements, you have slept for 347 years. The words hit Jake like a punch to the stomach. "That's impossible, that can't be right." Zixtal moved closer. Jake could see that the alien's 4 hands held different tools that looked like they were grown, instead of made. "Your species measures time differently than ours, but yes, you have been in what you call suspended animation since the year 2387. It is now 2734. Jake's mind raced. Over 300 years. Everyone he had ever known was dead. Earth itself might be gone. My crew? What happened to my crew? They died long ago. Human Jake Morrison, you were the only survivor when your ship crashed on our home world. The others had a sickness that we could not cure in time. But you were different. Your body fought off the disease." The alien's words felt like ice in Jake's chest. His crew was dead. Lisa, Tony, Amy, all of them gone for centuries. "Why did you keep me alive? Why wait so long?" Zixtal's large eyes seemed to study Jake carefully. "Because we learned something important from your people before they died. They told us about your home world, about your species. They shared knowledge with us that made us understand humans better." Jake tried again to sit up and this time managed to prop himself on his elbows. The room spun a little, but he fought through it. "What kind of knowledge?" "Your genetic code told us a story, Jake Morrison. Humans are changing, evolving faster than most species do. We found markers in your DNA that showed abilities that would not appear for many generations." "What kind of abilities?" The alien made more clicking sounds. Jake realized it might be their version of a psi. "Mental powers. What your people might call psychic abilities. The ability to move objects with thought, to read minds, to see across great distances without technology." Jake stared at the creature. "That sounds like science fiction. Your species has always been good at imagining what you would become before you became it. We have watched your people spread across the galaxy during your sleep. In the last 50 of your years, some humans have begun to show these abilities." The room felt like it was spinning faster. Jake closed his eyes and tried to make sense of what he was hearing. "You've been watching us?" "From a distance, yes. We needed to know what kind of species you would become, whether you would use these new abilities to help others or to conquer them." Jake opened his eyes and looked directly at Zixtal. "And what did you decide?" The alien was quiet for a long moment. "That is why we woke you up, Jake Morrison. You knew us when we were strangers. You helped us when we needed help. Your people could have taken what they wanted from our world, but instead they shared knowledge and tried to save us from the same disease that killed them. But that was over 300 years ago. I'm not the same person who represents humanity now. No, but you are the bridge between who humans were and who they are becoming. We need someone who understands both sides. Someone who can help us make contact with your people without starting a war. Jake finally managed to sit up completely. His head was clearing and his muscles were starting to work properly again. Contact? You mean first contact? You want me to help you meet with humans officially? Yes. But there is something else you must know. Not all of my people agreed with waiting this long. Some believe humans have become too powerful, too dangerous. They think we should have stopped your expansion when we had the chance. A chill ran down Jake's spine. Stopped us how? By destroying your colonies before they could spread. By ending your species before you could develop these new abilities. Zixtal moved to a wall panel that glowed when touched. There are Keth-Ani, who believe the galaxy would be safer without humans in it. Jake stood up slowly, testing his balance. And what do you believe? I believe that any species capable of helping strangers even while dying deserves a chance to prove what they can become. But the choice may not be mine to make much longer. The alien touched another panel, and part of the wall became transparent. Jake could see space outside, filled with more stars than he remembered. But in the distance he could make out shapes that looked like ships. Human ships? Jake asked. Yes, a colony vessel that sent out a distress signal. They are under attack by what your people call pirates. This may be our first test, Jake Morrison. Do we reveal ourselves to save human lives knowing it will change everything? Or do we remain hidden and let your people die? Jake looked out at the distant ships, knowing that real people were fighting and dying out there. People who might be saved if he made the right choice. After sleeping for over 3 centuries, he was awake just in time to help decide the fate of 2 species. The weight of it should have crushed him, but instead Jake felt something he had not expected. He felt ready. Jake followed Zixtal through corridors that seemed to breathe around them. The walls moved slowly, like the inside of some giant living thing. Other aliens passed them in the hallways. Most looked like Zixtal, but some were bigger, with thicker armor plates. Others were smaller and moved more quickly. Your ship is alive, Jake said as they walked. Not alive in the way you think of life, but yes. The Keth Moran grows and heals itself. It has been our home for many centuries. Zixtal stopped at a door that opened without any sound. Come. There is much you need to see. The room they entered was huge. The walls were covered with screens showing images and text that hurt Jake's eyes to look at directly. But some of the screens showed things he could understand. Pictures of Earth. Pictures of human colonies on other worlds. Ships he recognized as human designs. You have been watching us this whole time, Jake said. It was not a question. Yes. Commander Hicksmore made that decision soon after your ship crashed on our world. Zixtal touched a control panel and the screens changed. He convinced our leaders that we needed to understand humans before we made contact. A new alien entered the room. This one was larger than Zixtal, with darker armor that looked like it had seen battle. Scars crossed its face and one of its forearms ended in metal instead of flesh. This is Commander Hicksmore, Zixtal said. He has led this mission since the beginning. Hicksmore looked at Jake with eyes that seemed to see everything. When he spoke, his voice was deeper than Zixtal's. Jake Morrison, you look exactly as you did when we first met. We met before? Briefly. You were dying from the same sickness that killed your crew. You gave us information about human medicine that helped us understand your biology. You probably do not remember. Jake tried to think back to those last days on his ship, but everything was fuzzy. He remembered being sick, remembered his crew getting worse and worse. I remember some of it. We crashed on your planet. Your ship was caught in what you called a space storm. The damage was too great to repair. But before your people died, they shared much with us. Star charts showing the location of Earth, information about human culture and history, and genetic samples that told us what humans might become. Hicksmore moved to one of the screens and it changed to show a timeline. Jake could see dates starting from when his ship crashed and continuing to the present day. We studied your species for decades after first contact. What we learned worried some of our people. Worried them how? Humans multiply and spread faster than any species we had encountered. In just 300 years, you went from a few colonies to controlling hundreds of star systems. Your technology advanced at an incredible rate. Jake looked at the screens, showing human expansion across the galaxy. It was amazing and terrifying at the same time. That's what humans do. We explore, we build, we grow. Yes, but the question became whether you would grow by cooperating with other species or by conquering them. The screen showed images of human colonies, space stations, and fleets of warships. The evidence was mixed. Another alien entered the room. This one was different from the others, with red markings on its armor and weapons attached to its body. It moved like a soldier, and its eyes held anger when it looked at Jake. "This is War Caste Torcon," Hicksmore said. "He has disagreed with our mission from the beginning." Torcon's voice was harsh when he spoke. "We should have destroyed the human colonies when they were small. Now they are too powerful, too dangerous." "Dangerous how?" Jake asked. Torcon pointed at the screens. "Look at your history, human. The Mars War, where humans killed millions of their own kind over mining rights. The destruction of the Crystal Cities when your people decided an entire species was in their way. The corporate wars that lasted 50 years and destroyed 12 worlds." Jake felt sick as he looked at the images on the screens. Wars he had never heard of. Destroyed cities. Battles in space between massive fleets. "We're not all like that." "No," Hicksmore said quietly. "You are not. We have also watched humans save dying colonies, share technology with primitive species, and sacrifice themselves to protect others. Your people contain both great good and great evil." Zixtal activated another screen. "Show him the genetic analysis." The screen filled with complex diagrams that Jake could not understand. But Zixtal explained as the images changed. Human DNA contains dormant abilities that are beginning to activate. Mental powers that could make your species the most powerful in the galaxy. Or the most dangerous, Torcon added. "Imagine humans with the ability to control minds, to destroy ships with thought alone, to see across space without technology. What would your warriors do with such power?" Jake stared at the genetic charts. "You're saying humans are becoming psychic?" "Some already have," Hicksmore said. "Our observations show that roughly 1 in 10,000 humans now shows some level of mental ability. The numbers are growing each generation." "That's why we waited," Zixtal explained. "We needed to see what kind of species humanity would become when these abilities fully developed. Would you use them to help others, or to dominate them?" Jake walked closer to the screens showing human expansion. He could see the good and the bad in equal measure. Humans building beautiful cities and humans burning them down. Humans exploring new worlds and humans strip mining them bare. "And what did you decide?" "We have not decided yet," Hicksmore said. "That is why we woke you up. You represent humanity before the great expansion, before the wars, before the abilities began to manifest. You can help us understand which path your people will choose." Torcon moved closer, his weapons making clicking sounds. "I say we have seen enough. Humans are conquerors. They will use these new abilities to enslave other species. We should act now before they become unstoppable." "And do what?" Jake asked. "Warn the galaxy. Form an alliance to contain human expansion. If necessary, destroy your colonies before the psychic abilities spread further." Jake felt anger rising in his chest. "You're talking about genocide." "I'm talking about survival," Torcon shot back. "Your people have already shown what they do to species they consider inferior." Hicksmore raised one of his hands for silence. "This debate has continued for decades. Some of our people believe humans must be stopped. Others believe you deserve a chance to prove yourselves. Still others think we should make contact immediately and offer to help guide your development." "What do you believe?" Jake asked. The old commander was quiet for a long moment. "I believe that any species capable of both great evil and great good deserves the chance to choose which path they will follow. But that choice may be made for us soon." "What do you mean?" Zixtal pointed to another screen that showed space around their ship. In the distance, Jake could see lights that looked like engines. The human colony ship we detected is not alone. There are other ships approaching. Some are trying to help the colony ship. Others are attacking it. And if we help them, we reveal ourselves, Hicksmore said. First contact will happen whether we are ready or not. Jake looked around the room at the three aliens. Each represented a different choice. Zixtal wanted to help and learn. Hicksmore wanted to wait and decide carefully. Torkan wanted to act against humanity before it was too late. How long do we have? Jake asked. Hours, Hicksmore replied. Maybe less. Jake stared at the screens showing the battle in space. Real people were dying out there while these aliens debated what to do about his entire species. The weight of centuries of watching and waiting had come down to this moment. He realized that whatever choice they made in the next few hours would determine whether humans and Cathani would meet as friends or enemies. The long vigil was almost over. Jake stood in front of a massive screen that showed the battle happening in space nearby. The human colony ship was big and slow, built to carry families to new worlds. Around it, smaller ships attacked like wolves hunting a deer. Explosions lit up the darkness as the colony ship's defenses tried to fight back. How many people are on that ship? Jake asked. Zixtal checked readings on a control panel. Our scans show approximately 8,000 humans, men, women, and children. They are colonists traveling to establish a new settlement. And the attacking ships? Pirates? Hicksmore said with disgust in his voice. We have observed these raiders before. They attack colony ships, steal supplies, and sell survivors as slaves to criminal organizations. Jake felt his hands form fists. We have to help them. Torkan moved closer, his weapons clicking. Help them and reveal our presence to your entire species. Is that what you want, human? To force first contact before we are ready? I want to save innocent people from being murdered or enslaved, Jake shot back. Innocent? Torkan activated another screen. Let me show you how innocent your people are. The screen filled with images that made Jake's stomach turn. Cities burning on alien worlds. Huge machines, stripping entire planets bare of resources. Human soldiers shooting at creatures that looked like they were trying to surrender. This is the Centauri massacre, Torkan said as the images changed. Your people decided that the native species was using land inefficiently. 2 million aliens died so humans could build farms. Jake stared at the horrific images. That's not all of us. You can't judge every human by the actions of some. Can I not? Torkan showed more images. The Crystal Wars, where humans shattered living crystal cities because they wanted the minerals inside. The Outer Rim slave trade, where human corporations bought and sold entire species. The Great Poisoning of Kepler 438b, where human factories made an entire world uninhabitable. Each image was worse than the last. Jake had known humans could be cruel, but seeing centuries of cruelty all at once was overwhelming. Stop, I get it. Humans have done terrible things. But that is not the complete story, Zixtal said quietly. She activated different screens. Show him the other side, Torkan. The new images were different. Jake saw human doctors working to save alien children from a plague. Human engineers building water purification systems on drought-stricken worlds. Human soldiers fighting to protect refugee camps from raiders. The Mercy Fleet, Zixtal explained. When the Vegan colonies were hit by the Red Death Plague, humans sent every medical ship they had. They saved 4 billion lives and asked for nothing in return. More images appeared. Humans and aliens working together to build cities. Human teachers showing alien children how to read. Human farmers sharing crop techniques that ended famines on dozens of worlds. The Great Rescue of Proxima Station, Hicksmore added. When the station's reactor began to fail, human ships flew into lethal radiation to evacuate 2 million aliens. 300 humans died saving people they had never met. Jake looked back and forth between the two sets of images. The contrast was stark. Humans committing horrible acts of cruelty, and humans sacrificing everything to help strangers. We're complicated. Yes, Hicksmore said. That is what makes this decision so difficult. Your species is capable of both great evil and great good. The question is which one will dominate when you develop full psychic abilities. Torkan dismissed the positive images with an angry gesture. Pretty pictures do not erase genocide. Humans are conquerors. They take what they want and destroy what they cannot use. Some humans do that, Jake admitted, but others fight against it. I've seen the good images too. Humans who risk their lives to save aliens they've never met. That's also who we are. Zixtal moved to a new control panel. Perhaps it would help to see specific examples of human leaders from your current time period. The screen split to show two different humans. One was a woman in a military uniform with kind eyes and gray hair. The other was a man in expensive clothes with cold, calculating features. Admiral Amy Carter, Zixtal said, pointing to the woman. She commands Earth's diplomatic fleet. She has spent the last 20 years negotiating peaceful solutions to conflicts across the galaxy. Under her leadership, humans have prevented 14 wars and established trade agreements with 37 alien species. Jake smiled. Amy had been his friend before he went into suspended animation. She had been young then, just a lieutenant full of ideals about exploration and peace. She kept her promises. And this is General Rick Stone, Zixtal continued, pointing to the man. He leads the Colonial Expansion Force. His methods are more direct. He believes humans should take what they need from weaker species and that alien worlds exist to serve human interests. The screen showed footage of General Stone's forces in action. Human soldiers forcing aliens from their homes, mining operations that destroyed entire ecosystems, colonies built on the ruins of alien cities. Two different paths for humanity, Hicksmore observed. Cooperation or domination. The question is which leader represents your species' true nature. Jake studied both faces. Amy looked tired but determined, like someone who had spent decades fighting for what she believed was right. Stone looked confident and ruthless, like someone who got results no matter the cost. They both do, Jake said finally. That's the problem and the opportunity. Humans can choose to be either one. The ship suddenly shook around them. Alarms began sounding in the Kithani language. Zixtal quickly checked her instruments. The colony ship's shields are failing, she reported. The pirates have broken through their outer defenses. They will be boarded within minutes. On the screen, Jake could see small ships latching onto the colony vessel like parasites. Soon, pirates would be inside, killing anyone who resisted and taking the rest as slaves. We have to do something, Jake said. If we act, we reveal ourselves, Hicksmore warned. First contact will happen immediately. There will be no more time to prepare, no more time to study and plan. Torkan's weapons were fully extended now. And if we reveal ourselves to save these humans, what message does that send? That we will always protect them? That they can be as reckless as they want because aliens will rescue them? Jake looked at the three aliens around him. Each represented a different choice for both their species. Save the humans and risk an unprepared. First contact, let them die and maintain secrecy. Or something else entirely. What if we save them but don't reveal who we are? Jake asked. What if we make it look like something else happened? Zixtal's large eyes focused on him. What do you mean? The pirates attacked a defenseless colony ship. What if their own weapons mysteriously malfunctioned? What if their ship suddenly lost power for no apparent reason? What if they just left? Hicksmore considered this. Subtle intervention. Save the humans without revealing our presence. But that is still interfering, Torkan objected, still protecting humans from the consequences of their expansion into dangerous space. Jake pointed at the screen showing families huddled in the colony ship's corridors. Those aren't soldiers or politicians. They're just people trying to build a new life. Children who never hurt anyone. Another explosion rocked the colony ship. Its distress signals were getting weaker. We have to decide now, Zixtal said urgently. In minutes it will be too late to help them. Jake looked around the room at three aliens who held the power to save 8,000 human lives. The decision they made in the next few moments would show whether first contact would begin with cooperation or conflict. The test was not just of human character anymore. It was a test of what kind of people the Cathani were too. Jake made his choice. Save them. Hicksmore looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. Zixtal, prepare the defensive systems. Target the pirate vessels only. Make it look like equipment failures, not an attack. Torcon's weapons extended fully. I will not be part of this mistake. He turned and left the room, his heavy footsteps echoing in the corridors. The Catamaran moved through space like a living thing. Jake felt the ship change direction, heading toward the battle. On the screens, he could see the pirate ship still, attacking the colony vessel. Small figures in spacesuits were cutting through the hull. Firing now, Zixtal announced. Jake saw no weapons fire from their ship, but suddenly the pirate vessels began having problems. Their engines sputtered and died. Their weapons stopped working. Their communications went silent. Within minutes, the attacking ships were drifting helplessly in space. What did you do to them? Jake asked. Electromagnetic pulse weapons, Hicksmore explained. Their ships are disabled, but not destroyed. The crews are alive, but powerless. On the screen, the colony ship stopped sending distress signals. Its engines came back online and it began moving away from the disabled pirate vessels. Jake felt relief wash through him. 8,000 people were safe. But then everything went wrong. New ships appeared on the sensors. Big ships with heavy weapons and military markings. Jake recognized the designs from the historical footage he had seen. Human warships, Zixtal said with worry in her voice. A full battle group. They must have been responding to the distress call, Jake realized. They came to help fight the pirates. The lead ship was huge, bristling with weapons and armor. Jake could see the name painted on its hull, UES Defender. It was one of humanity's newest Dreadnought-class battleships. They are scanning the area, Hicksmore reported, looking for whatever disabled the pirate ships. Jake watched as the human ships surrounded the disabled pirates. But their sensors were also sweeping space, searching for any sign of what had intervened in the battle. Can they detect us? Jake asked. Not easily, Zixtal replied, but our intervention left energy signatures, if they look carefully enough. Alarms began sounding again. The human ships had found something. Their weapons were powering up and pointing in different directions, searching for a target they could not see. They know someone else was here, Hicksmore said grimly. The situation got worse when more ships arrived. These were not human vessels. Jake could see the angular, crystalline shapes of Centauri Alliance ships. Behind them came the flowing, organic curves of vegan Federation vessels. Then ships from a dozen other species Jake did not recognize. The distress call was heard by everyone, Zixtal explained. Half the galaxy is sending ships to help or investigate. Jake counted at least 50 alien ships of various designs surrounding the human battle group. Weapons were charging on all sides. What had started as a simple rescue was turning into a potential war zone. They think the humans somehow disabled. The pirates using a new weapon, Hicksmore observed. The other species are afraid that humans have developed technology they do not understand. Jake could see the tension building. Human ships on one side, alien fleets on the other, all of them armed and suspicious. Any wrong move could start a battle that would spread across the galaxy. We have to reveal ourselves, Jake said. It's the only way to prevent a war. If we decloak now, both sides will see us as a threat, Hicksmore warned. Unknown alien ship with advanced weapons appearing in the middle of a crisis. Jake thought quickly. What if I contact them first? What if I explain what happened? You have been dead for over 300 years, Zixtal pointed out. They will not believe you are who you say you are. Then we'll have to prove it. Before anyone could stop him, Jake activated the communication system. He had watched Zixtal use it enough to figure out the basic controls. The screen lit up and he was connected to the human flagship. A woman's face appeared on the screen. She was middle-aged with short brown hair and the kind of tired eyes that came from too many years of command. Her uniform showed the rank of Captain. This is Captain Lisa Brooks of the UES Defender, she said, looking confused. Who is this? How are you broadcasting on a secure military frequency? My name is Jake Morrison. I was captain of the exploration vessel Aurora. I need to speak with your commander about what happened here. Captain Brooks stared at him. Jake Morrison died over 300 years ago. His ship was lost near Jupiter. I know this is hard to believe, but I'm alive. I've been in suspended animation aboard an alien ship. The aliens saved the colony vessel from the pirates. Prove it, Brooks said simply. Jake thought for a moment, then began reciting information only the real Jake Morrison would know. Service, records, mission details, personal information about crew members who had become historical figures. Things that were not in any public records. Brooks listened with growing amazement. Finally, she said, "Even if you are Jake Morrison, how do I know you're not being forced to say this? How do I know these aliens aren't hostile? Because if they wanted to hurt humans, they've had 300 years to do it," Jake replied. "They've been watching us, learning about us, trying to decide if we're ready for contact." Contact? Jake took a deep breath. "Captain Brooks, I'm asking you to trust me. These aliens are not our enemies. They want to meet with humanity officially, but they need to know we can handle it peacefully." On the screen, Jake could see Brooks talking to someone off camera. The tension in space was still growing. More ships were arriving every few minutes. "Captain Morrison," Brooks said finally, "I'm going to need more than your word. If these aliens exist, I need to see them." Jake looked at Hicksmore and Zixtal. Both aliens nodded slowly. "Stand by, Captain Brooks," Jake said. "You're about to make history." Hicksmore activated the ship's controls. Decloaking now, the catamaran became visible to every ship in the area. Jake watched the screens as sensors across dozens of fleets registered the massive alien vessel. The ship was beautiful and terrifying, at the same time clearly more advanced than anything humans or their allies had ever built. Every weapon in the area turned toward them. "This is Captain Brooks to all vessels," came the broadcast. "Hold your fire. Repeat, hold your fire. We are attempting first contact with an unknown species." Jake could see the fear and wonder on Brooks's face as she stared at the alien ship. "Captain Morrison, are you really aboard that vessel?" "I am, and I'm hoping you can help prevent the first interstellar war in galactic history." The next few minutes would determine whether first contact would begin with handshakes or weapons fire. Jake realized that his choice to save the colony ship had forced the moment he and the Cathani had been preparing for over 3 centuries. Ready or not, first contact had begun. The silence in space was terrifying. Dozens of ships from different species floated in the darkness, all with weapons pointed at the catamaran. Jake could see the tension on every face displayed on the communication screens. Captain Brooks was the first to speak. "Captain Morrison, I need you to explain what's happening here. My sensors show that alien ship has enough firepower to destroy half this fleet." "They're not here to fight," Jake said quickly. "They're here because they've been watching humanity for over 300 years. They wanted to make contact when the time was right." "And when exactly is the right time to reveal that aliens have been spying on us?" The voice came from another screen. Jake saw a man in an admiral's uniform with hard eyes and gray hair. "This is Admiral Tony Clark of Earth, Defense Command. I want to know why these aliens have been hiding from us." Jake remembered the name from the historical records. Tony Clark was known for his aggressive defense policies. "Admiral, they were trying to understand us before making contact. They wanted to know if humanity could handle meeting an advanced alien species." "Handle it?" Admiral Clark's voice was angry. "We've been exploring space for centuries. We've met dozens of alien species. What makes these creatures think we need their approval?" Before Jake could answer, new alarms started sounding. The screens showed more ships arriving. These were different from the others, sleek predatory vessels with weapons already charging. "Cathani Warfleet," Hicksmore said grimly. "The High Council has sent ships to bring us home." Jake counted at least 20 alien warships. They were smaller than the Cathmoran but heavily armed. Their leader's face appeared on the communication screen, an alien even larger than Torkan, with battle scars covering his armor. "I am War Leader Vextar of the Cathani High Council," the alien announced. The ship Kethmoran has violated our laws by revealing itself to primitive species. Commander Hixmore, you will return immediately for judgment. Primitive? Admiral. Clark's face turned red. Did that thing just call us primitive? The situation was spinning out of control. 3 different groups, humans, various alien species, and now the Kethani fleet, all faced each other with weapons ready. Jake could see fingers moving toward firing controls on every bridge. This is exactly what we were afraid of, Zixtal whispered. First contact turning into first conflict. Jake made a decision. Captain Brooks, Admiral Clark, I need you to listen carefully. In about 30 seconds, this is going to become the largest space battle in galactic history unless we do something. What do you suggest? Brooks asked. Trust me one more time. Jake turned to Hixmore. Can you contact all the ships at once? Yes, but do it. I have an idea. Hixmore activated the ship's communications. Suddenly, Jake's face appeared on every screen in the fleet. Human, alien, and Kethani. My name is Jake Morrison, he began. 300 years ago, I was a human explorer who crashed on an alien world. The people there could have let me die, but they didn't. They saved my life and learned about humanity from me and my crew. Jake could see he had everyone's attention. Weapon systems were still charged, but no one was firing yet. For 3 centuries, the Kethani watched humanity grow and spread across the galaxy. They saw us do terrible things, wars, genocide, the destruction of entire worlds. But they also saw us do amazing things, saving dying species, sharing our knowledge, sacrificing ourselves for strangers. War leader Vextar interrupted. Human, you have no authority to speak for the Kethani people. You're right, Jake agreed. I can't speak for your people, but I can speak for mine. And I can tell you what I've learned from living with both species. Jake took a deep breath. Humans are not perfect. We make mistakes. We can be cruel and greedy and stupid. But we can also be brave and generous and willing to learn. The Kethani are the same way. They spent centuries watching us because they were afraid of making a mistake that could start a war. Admiral Clark's voice cut through the transmission. Get to the point, Morrison. The point is that right now, we have a choice. We can start shooting and prove that both our species are too violent to coexist. Or we can try something that's never been done before. Which is? Captain Brooks asked. Work together. Just then, new alarms sounded throughout the fleet. Every ship's sensors detected the same thing. A massive solar flare erupting from the nearby star. The radiation wave would hit them in minutes. All ships, this is Captain Brooks, came the broadcast. Solar flare incoming. Estimate Class X radiation levels. All vessels prepare for emergency procedures. Jake watched the screens as panic spread through the fleet. The solar flare was huge, bigger than anything most of these ships were designed to handle. The smaller vessels would be fried by the radiation. Even the larger ships would suffer severe damage. The colony ship, Jake realized. They don't have military-grade shielding. 8,000 people are going to die. Hixmore was already working at his controls. Our bioshields can protect some ships, but not all of them. What about the human psychic abilities? Jake asked suddenly. The ones you've been worried about for centuries? Zixtal looked at him in surprise. What do you mean? You said some humans have developed mental powers. Powers that let them see, across space, move objects with their minds. What if they could guide ships through the radiation storm? Captain Brooks's voice came over the communication system. Morrison, what are you talking about? Captain, do you have anyone on your crew with psychic abilities? Anyone who can sense things beyond normal range? There was a pause. We have Lieutenant Kevin Walsh. He's one of our navigators. He can sometimes sense spatial anomalies before our instruments detect them. Get him on the line. And Admiral Clark. Do any of your ships have people with similar abilities? Within minutes, Jake was coordinating between human psychics and Kethani technology. The humans could sense safe paths through the radiation storm, while the Kethani could extend their bioshields to protect multiple ships. This is impossible, War Leader Vextar said as he watched human and Kethani crews working together. Primitive species cannot have such abilities. Maybe we're not as primitive as you thought, Admiral Clark replied. But his voice had lost its anger. He was too busy coordinating the rescue efforts. The solar flare hit like a wave of fire. Ships scattered in all directions, following the safe paths that human psychics could sense. Kethani bioshields stretched between vessels, creating protective bubbles in the storm of radiation. Jake watched the screens as natural enemies worked together to save lives. Human ships guided alien vessels to safety. Alien technology protected human colonies. Species that had been pointing weapons at each other minutes ago were now sharing resources and information. When the radiation storm passed, every ship had survived. Not a single life was lost. Well, Captain Brooks said as the fleets regrouped. That was interesting. War leader Vextar was staring at his instruments. The human psychics guided our ships through radiation patterns our computers could not predict. How is this possible? Because we're all stronger together than we are apart, Jake said simply. Admiral Clark looked thoughtful. Morrison, what exactly are you proposing? I'm proposing that instead of fighting about first contact, we use it as a chance to learn from each other. Humans have abilities the Kethani don't understand. The Kethani have technology we've never imagined. Instead of being afraid of each other, maybe we can help each other grow. Hicksmore spoke for the first time since the crisis began. The High Council sent us to observe humanity and decide if your species was ready for contact. I believe we have our answer. And what answer is that? Jake asked. That the question was wrong from the beginning. It is not whether humans are ready for contact with us. It is whether both our species are ready to contact each other as equals. Jake smiled. So what happens now? Captain Brooks answered first. Now we talk. Really talk. About trade, about exploration, about how to keep things like this from turning into shooting wars. The colony ship will need an escort to their destination, Admiral Clark added. Perhaps some of our new Kethani friends would like to see how humans build colonies. War leader Vextar was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, the High Council will want a full report. They will want to meet these human psychics, and they will want to understand how two species learn to cooperate so quickly. Jake looked around the bridge of the Kethmaran. 3 centuries of waiting had led to this moment, not the careful planned first contact that everyone had imagined, but something messier and more real. So I guess my job here is done, Jake said. Sixtal looked at him with surprise. Done? Jake Morrison, your job is just beginning. Someone needs to help both our species learn to understand each other. Someone who belongs to both worlds. Jake thought about that. He was no longer the same person who had left Earth over 300 years ago, but he was not fully Kethani either. He was something new, a bridge between two worlds. All right, he said, let's see what we can build together. The long wait was over. The real work was just beginning.